Hey, Coach. It's
Hi.
Aya Abdeen for the 9450. You have seen Satu Sabli suffer a concussion Wednesday night, and now she is out for tonight's game. What type of adjustments do you expect from Nate Tibbetts and the Mercury?
I just suspect that our next woman up, just like when anybody goes down on a team, it's obviously tough for a team and a player of that stature to go down. But I suspect Kyle will probably try to get going a little bit earlier. They'll just all get a little bit probably more opportunity and probably play super, super hard with their opportunity. So it's always a little bit nerve-wracking, because one person goes down and it's another person's opportunity. And so, I've seen a lot of players take advantage of those opportunities in a really big way. So I don't know who it's going to be that steps up for them, but I'll wait to the 30-minute announcement on who he's starting.
Coach, third row to your left.
Becky, Chris Matthews, Channel 8 in Las Vegas. Can you just talk about how would you attribute your success, or what would you attribute your postseason success to? Number one in the league in postseason, and number one, I think 82 or whatever percent, 83% in finals. What would you attribute that to? I don't know if it goes back to Pop or whatever, but your postseason success is really, really good.
I don't know. I have really good players. That helps a lot. I try to be creative. I try to keep them, sometimes less is more. I think a lot of times coaches can do, people be like, what adjustments are you making? Sometimes there doesn't need to be an adjustment. We just need more of the same. And sometimes there needs to be adjustments and you make those adjustments, but sometimes I think you can get caught up to say you're doing something just to be saying you're doing something. And I think that can be counterproductive sometimes. So I try to stay real solid. I try to stay really clear with the message, and I try to have really clear communication of what our objectives are offensively and defensively.
Coach, second row to your right.
Hey, Becky, Barry again. How's everything?
Good, Barry.
Good.
My Uncle Barry came in from Connecticut, so.
Well, I'm from the Bronx, so close enough.
Bronx, East Coast, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think this does for the history of this franchise and just the overall boom of sports in Las Vegas?
I don't know, Barry. We got to win first.
Well, you're 3-0. You can project what
Oh,
you've already
you're trying to
done
get me
as
to
being-
walk into a dangerous trap. Look, we got to handle business tonight. What it means for the city and the state, I think Vegas continues to just grow into one of the greatest sports cities in the world. And we're certainly happy to help move that needle.
Are you personally looking forward to baseball coming there and maybe the NBA at some point too?
I don't know if I could name one baseball player off the top of my head. Aaron, that plays in New York. Yep, him. That's a big boy. I can name some old school ones, Derek Jeter and all those guys, but recently I can't name, and that one pitcher guy. I think he plays for the Dodgers. Yeah, Ohtani.
Becky, fifth row to your left.
Becky back here.
Yep.
Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. Where would you put Asia in the list of greats? I mean, with everything that she's done this season, does that move her up in your estimation, or was she already at the top of the list?
She's at the top of the list. She's already done things nobody else has done. And she'll just continue. She adds something new every year. I'll continue to challenge her in things that I feel she could add to her game. But, I said this when she got her fourth MVP. You have your Mount Rushmore of who's on your Mount Rushmore. She's sitting alone on Everest. There's no one around.
Coach to your right in the front row.
Hey, Coach, over here.
Hi.
Hi, Tarika, CBS Sports. if you have a team full of rookies, right, you come in, you probably have to say something to calm nerves or, some team that never been here before. But you've got a team that's won this thing twice, their experience. What do you say to them to come into a matchup knowing that winning today could win it all? What do you say to them? What's the message?
The message is just to stay locked in. If you're not locked in, it's a good recipe to get embarrassed. They're still a professional team. They're still alive. And I expect a dogfight tonight, honestly. They're down a player. I mean, all those things, factor into, I think, a very supercharged team we'll be facing tonight. So we just got to stay the course. As a coach, you do feel like your players can smell it a little bit. But, we don't have time to stop and smell the roses right now. We gotta keep pushing and finish the job. The job's not finished.
Coach, on your right, toward the back of the room, all the way to the right.
Just what do you remember, Becky, about closing out Connecticut in your guys' first finals series, and how you prepared for that moment, and how maybe your personal preparation compares to this moment? Yeah.
Well, I remember they kicked our butt in Game 3, and I watched film till about 4, and then got up at 6 and started watching it again. I was a caged animal. I was a maniac. Got all my assistants as soon as they got up. I was like, get the film room as soon as you wake up, ASAP. And again, we were in for another dogfight. I mean, we went super small and they went super big. Raquana Williams came in and hit some key buckets for us down the stretch.
Coach, in the very center of the room.
No 4 a.m. nights this time around?
3.
Okay, that's better.
You can tell I'm starting to lose it now. We got to close this thing out because my health is about to hit the wall.
As I think we're all on the same sleep deprivation. Coach, it's ESPN. In the last game when Phoenix was able to close that 17-point gap, what did you see from your guys that let them back in that you probably want to avoid in a game tonight?
That's a loaded question. Well, you saw a team with desperation. I didn't like how it was being called in that. However, I thought we had some crucial turnovers. I thought, we just had to play through some adversity. Like I said, just physics-wise, when a team is going 110 miles an hour, you also need to be going somewhat over 100 and not breaking. And one thing I always encourage our team to do, whether, obviously at a certain point in the game, you're going to use some clock or whatnot, but I am someone who, you go play to win. You never play not to lose. You go play to win, and you keep that focus and you keep that that aggressive nature about yourself. And I thought we got a little bit on our heels, and that's never good for any team, my team or anybody else's. So, just being more secure. I did think, there were some things that maybe could have gone our way a little bit better. It didn't, however, we still found ways to win. I mean, it's really hard to beat a team in a closeout game or a must-win for that team on their home court. It just is. And, obviously really caught fire there. And she became a problem. So we just have to stay locked in. And us also being in foul trouble, I thought hurt us a lot. You're not going to cheat off Dana. You're just not. And I thought they crowded and really mucked some things up for us offensively. And And we'll do a few different things. We got a few different things tossing around in my head that we might do, so we'll see.
Coach, on the right side toward the back of the room.
Hey, Becky. You've mentioned before just how special it is to be able to close out series on the road. Just why is that?
I mean, it's just like you walk in and the whole world's against you, which I personally enjoy. You got to really embrace those moments, those opportunities. I love fans. I love fans of the WNBA, even if they're not cheering for us. I think it's awesome to have a packed building, have that kind of energy. But, you know, like I said, there's energy shifts in the building, and you see it throughout the course of the game. But in huge moments, it seems to be even more magnified. But winning on the road in any professional league is very difficult, especially if you start adding on circumstances, right, and scenarios. It's just really tough.
Becky on the right side of the room in the fourth row.
Hi, Coach. Going back to that Game 3, it felt like the Mercury found some success going after some of the guards, more so with off-ball actions compared to like the pick and rolls in Game 1. Are you worried about that aspect of Phoenix's attack? Is it just doing better against those, or are there any adjustments you feel need to be made on that front?
We can do better. We can do better. If we don't do better, we'll make some adjustments. But, you know, I didn't think we were solid in some areas defensively, and hopefully we'll be solid tonight. You know, they slipped through. We got to identify some actions quicker, you know, and I think when we do identify them, we'll be able to execute the plan better. They disguised a few things. You know, they got into a few sets a little differently. They initiated it differently. So really it was the same action, but it was just disguised a little bit. And we got to sniff those out a little bit better at the beginning of the possession.
Coach in the last row to your left.
Hi, Becky. Players have talked about the range of stories and examples you use to motivate them. You know, Chelsea compared your range there to what she's heard about Phil Jackson. Curious if you keep a notebook of potential ideas there, if you are always looking for things that you can use for stories, or how you keep coming up with different ones.
I don't know. My dad was a storyteller, and you know, he used to tell us this trip on the way to Connecticut when we'd be driving out there to see family. It would last 3 hours, and he put me and my sister and my brother's names in it. And it wasn't until I got into junior high that I realized he had just plagiarized The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So, you know, he just put our names in it until I had to read that book for an assignment. But you know, we were just out doing a lot in nature and stuff, so I think you can learn a lot from nature, whether that's just from animals or seasons or vegetation, just different things. There's so much out there in the world that has nothing to do with basketball but can easily be translatable. But I am constantly looking for things that I think they would identify with, or things that resonate. You know, reading and just storytelling, listening to podcasts, stuff like that. You know, I think the one thing about being a professional athlete, and especially take the NBA that has 82 games, man, it's really hard to play hard, get your team to play hard, all 82 games. But you see the ones that do end up doing pretty well. I think Indiana played real hard the whole season. Oklahoma City, you know, they play really hard on both ends of the floor all year, and I think that's a great habit and skill set to have. But, you know, when you've had a lot of success, a lot of times, sometimes it's hard to keep that energy, and I think this group has really found that energy post All-Star. Even before, I was looking at an old text from somebody, and I said, man, we could have reeled off 3 in a row right there, but instead, it was like three losses in a row, but we were right there. And my last comment to him was, "We'll get it turned around." And then he texted me yesterday, and that was our last conversation with each other. So that was the last thing he said. I guess we turned it around, you know. But I got a locker room of really high character quality people that care about the right things. So that helps.
This will be our last question. Coach, toward the back of the room on the left.
Hi, Becky. Building off of that question, I guess I'm just curious where your different team building activities come from. So the egg drill, the Jeopardy, giving the plants, there have been a lot of things we've discussed. So where does that creativity and I guess, thing that teachers do, where does that come from?
I would say my dad. Everything was a game in my household. That's why we're probably all overly competitive. But he made learning fun. There was always a lesson in what he was doing. He was a person that, well, he's still alive. I just used past tense. Thank God. But it was constantly learning. He's a true teacher. He's a true leader. He was my first coach. Coached my brother, coached me. He's very much entrepreneur. Started his own business. So, I mean, I don't know, just the can-do attitude, but then would also show you the how-to through examples in life or through books. He's a heavy reader. So I just think, and he was fun. So, our house was the house. Kids wanted to come, and we would play games. Man, we would play all sorts of games all night. He was a youth group leader. So, he'd be coming up with games, canoe wars, pine cone fights, capture the flag. I mean, you name the games, we did all the games. So I just think when you have a group of collective competitive people, they like games. So it ain't fun till we're keeping score. But yeah, he's the original fun guy for sure.
Coach, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.